Hi, and welcome to another episode of Talking with Tapolci. I'm your host, Jason Tapolci. If you've caught a couple of the past episodes, we've been talking a lot about strategy, and more specifically, how to build an industry-dominating strategy. I like the topic so much, I wrote a second ebook about that, which is titled How to Build an Industry-Dominating Strategy. And so 2 episodes ago, we started talking about strategy and why it's important, and we began with, if you recall, defining your sandbox, where are you going to play, and then we went to defining your buyer personas, who are you selling to, and then we said, well, what pain are we solving in the marketplace, and then how are we solving that pain? Do we have a differentiator, something that's different than what our competitors are doing? And then last week we talked about our 3-year, 1-year, and quarterly goals, and essentially how important those are to really start with the 3-year and define those and kind of whittle it down to 1 year and then whittle it down again to the quarterly, and that's really what you focus on is on a per quarter basis. And if you do that quarter after quarter after quarter, you eventually solve or hit your goals, your 3-year goals. And so this week we want to shift gears a little bit and go to the 3rd phase of your whole strategy planning, and that's going to be made up of, we want to talk about the actual planning session itself. We want to talk about the theme for the year. We want to talk about what celebrations we're going to give our staff for achieving our goals, and then what reward do we want to do. And then lastly, obviously, one of the most important things is the scoreboard as well. So let's get started with the planning session itself. The planning session itself at VoIP Innovations, what we do actually is we take 2 days and we have all of our senior leaders, we call it our VoIP senior staff, and we bring them in from the Pittsburgh office, and then we have another office in Arizona, our sales team, and they come back and we sit down for 2 days and we discuss where we want to take the company, what we did in the previous year and where we want to take it. And how we divide all that up is on the first day, I'll start off by presenting the 2015 or the previous year's financials. If we hit our goal, if not, why, if we exceeded it, why. And then we go into a second phase of the financials, which is to talk about, what potential goals, financial goals do we want to set in the upcoming year. All right, once we wrap that up, usually takes about an hour or two, we then go into what we call the blue sky. And blue sky is it's a way to get the creative juices flowing. We do that with the team. It's just to throw ideas out, write them down on the board, and we don't criticize the ideas, we don't debate the ideas. The idea is the idea. It's called blue sky. I always use the joke, if you want to say I want to build a system that drops a meteor on my car every time or creates a pink elephant, we'll write it down on the card and, we'll see how far it makes it through the process. So after we're done with the blue sky, we then move into the most important tool that any business owner can use, in my opinion, which is your SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your trends. It's not necessarily, some people call it threats, we call it trends. And the SWOT analysis it's a neat tool because the strengths and weaknesses are your internal. You can control them internally. You have some sort of control over them. Your opportunities and trends or threats are external. You don't really have control over them, but you can recognize them and prepare for them. And so we'll go over the strengths, and we list all of our strengths. And you want to showcase your strengths. So we do make a list every year, and then we go back on all of our marketing material and we say, hey, are we showcasing all of our strengths? These things that we do better than anybody else. We then move on to weaknesses. And under weaknesses, you want to list anything that you could improve upon. And I always have to say, I always see people, their strengths column is way more populated than their weakness column. Here at VoIP Innovations, it's exactly the opposite. We list every weakness. We want to know where we're weak, and we want to try to improve upon those. Thirdly, you're going to have your opportunities. So now we're starting with external, right? Things we can't quite control. And your opportunities are things in the marketplace that you see, over the past couple years in VoIP, SMS has been coming big. So we saw that as an opportunity, and we made sure that we built that into our plan. And then lastly, you have your trends or your threats. These are things that you need to look at and that could hurt your business, or as a threat. As a trend, it could be a bad trend, but it also could be a good trend. And on the trends, if you look back many years ago, the trend was everybody was going towards you had to have 911, it had to be right, and that could be a threat if you didn't. Then it was taxation. You had to provide taxation. You had to do it properly. And so you want to look at all these things. Now, we can't control whether or not we have to pay taxes. We have to pay them. So we had to see that and make sure that we could solve those problems. And then that's the end of the first day. The second day, we come back, and what we do is we take the SWOT analysis that we did the previous day, and we list on 3x5 index cards. We list all of our strengths, and we put them up. And when we put them on a board, what we do is we literally take push pins and we pin them up to a board. But we put them under one of the three phases of growth, delivery, and support. Those are the three main phases. If you've watched any of these previous videos or read my first ebook, Originating Profit, you've heard about the scaling up cycle with growth, delivery, and support. And the faster you spin it, the faster your company grows. So we make these three buckets of growth, delivery, and support. And as we're writing these cards down, we pin it to the group that it belongs to. So for strengths, most of them are typically marketing. So all those go underneath the growth section. And then we go through strengths. Strengths might be, weaknesses. Weaknesses might be that, our IVR may be too clunky, right? And so that's a support or operation thing. So we'll make a card with a verb. It's got to start with a verb that says improve IVR, right? And we put that underneath the support card or the support phase. And so once we've gotten through all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats and have them on cards and we pin them up there, the next thing you want to do is break it down by small, medium, and large in each column. And the reason we do that, it's virtually impossible. Matter of fact, humans are known to be terrible time estimators. It's very hard to estimate any large project. So we simply say, is this a small project, a medium project, or a large project? And we put those underneath the growth, delivery, and support. We organize them by those three. And once we've done all that, the last thing that we do is we sign accountability, a person that's accountable for that. It doesn't mean that that person has to do the whole thing. It just means they have to drive the project. There might be 5 people working on tasks for that project, but that person's accountable, and we want to set a date that it's due, a due date. If you don't have a due date, it'll never get done because there's nothing to drive against. So that ends the 2-day planning session. Once you have completed the 2-day planning session, you want to build the plan, and I take that on myself. I use a tool called Align Today, and you can find that at aligntoday.com, and it has all the tools that we've been talking about, and you simply populate the forms to build your plan. And once you've done that, you can assign each one of your staff members access to see that, have them download the app for the smartphone, and you now have instant access to your plan at all time. It's very visible. So wrapping up that planning session, you want to also define a theme. And, what is your theme for the year? It's something that is meant that people know and that it kind of drives against whatever your goal is for the year. And at VoIP Innovations, our goal was to get to X amount of active DIDs. So our theme, we made a theme of driving. And so like driving a car. And our theme is driving to X amount of DIDs. And so moving into the celebration, we said, well, let's go drive go-karts or sprint carts. And so we're going to take the staff sprint cart driving as a celebration, and that sticks with the theme of driving and driving to 550,000 numbers. And so the last thing on that you want to do for your staff is a reward. So some people think the celebration is the reward. It's not. That's a celebration for reaching the goal, for all the hard work we did. A reward is something that they get that's tangible. And at VoIP Innovations, what we do is we share profits. So we take X% of profits and we share them with the entire staff. So they know that if we execute this plan for 2016 and we hit our financial numbers, they're going to get an X percentage of those profits. And that completes the 3 phases of, or the 3rd phase of the strategic planning. And I hope you found it valuable. And if you like to learn more about it, you can download my ebook, How to Build an Industry Dominating Strategy, or you can listen to the audio version of it as well. And then next week, we're going to switch gears and we want to talk about empowering your end users to save you time. How can we leverage our end users to remove some of the day-to-day daily tasks that we have that eat up our entire day? And I want to talk about some tools and show you some interesting ways of getting around this. So again, thanks for watching every week. I really appreciate it. My name is Jason Tapolci, and this is Talking with Tapolci. This is Talking